Hey everybody, welcome back to the Spitter. I'm here with my boy Petey. Today we'll be talking about Kickstarter finds. And why are we talking about that? Well, there's some great finds there, but it's also a great place for artists to go and showcase their talent. And especially now that DC's having a bloodbath, that may be a place for them to go. So Petey, tell me some of the things that you've seen lately or that you've picked up on the way.
Well, I'm gonna go through some of my old stuff, right? Because I got this nice public service Ditko package before he passed. Now he had a small thing in New York where he would sell his comics, and then there was a mail order thing. But when Kickstarter was almost the best home, and Robin Snyder was still doing stuff for Steve Ditko and his work.
So that was Ditko's himself. He was actually publishing that himself, non-Marvel, non-DC stuff.
Yeah, non-DC. It's all black and white stuff, and some of his stuff has some of the history of comic books in it. So it's stuff that you need to get. Even though of course fandom complained, no, Stan did more than you said, and it's like this is my history. So
that was his stuff. I mean, it brought up a lot of Marvel stuff, basically.
No, this is just this talks about the comic industry in general. So okay. It's kind of interesting in saying how an idea of people fighting over who did what. So it's like the publishers are looking for a new idea, and of course their big idea is let's do a reprint. So then the penciler thinks they're the person, then the inker thinks they're the person, and it's not just the paper. He's not singling out people. Like the paper's going through wanting something creative, and then a penciler comes and the inker saves it. It's so crazy to sort of get into this, and where people rather him just draw Spider-Man. But it's interesting work to have. Something that took a while. I didn't think they were going to reprint it, but they finally did. So
is that something that's still on Kickstarter, or something that
that one's finished. That one's finished. So I'm going to show you. There's going to be one new thing, but I'm not sure I'm going to get it. But one thing that was recently that just was awarded, that I got in the mail so far, is The Mighty World of Mccrae. This is from he was an artist at DC. He worked on Hitman. He also worked on, what else did he work on at DC? He did some demon stuff with I think was it with Garth Ennis? It might have been with Garth Ennis. But he also worked on one of my favorite projects, which was Mars Attacks, where he did a good, decent, maybe it was like 15 or 20 issue run on Mars Attacks. But it was, but this is like a book of random stories, and also has stickers in it. So I got a signature on here on this card and in the book. I think
were those the extras that you got when you ordered from Kickstarter?
I think that was one of the rewards, but it's mainly getting this book. So that's what I wanted. I mean, his style. He does many different styles in this book, which is even better. His style
no color.
No, there's some color in there, but if you look at this, it's sort of like the way the artist in The Walking Dead, but he does a bunch of different styles in here too. But see, he has a story in color. So it's like just a bunch of random sort of stories. Sort of like something you see in EC, but it's kind of like you got some comedy in here. It's a bunch of different things. So I always check out what he's doing. When I found this, I hadn't done a Kickstarter in a while. So I saw him doing this, so I had to support. And the oldie but goodie, just to show you that I'm a supporter of Kickstarters. Bernie Wrightson, who passed, The Cycle of Werewolf. I talked about this before with Mars, about going through every month when there's a full moon, and they would go to the werewolf. And this is the plates. I finally got the plates and whatnot. And I got a calendar, which is very graphic, so it's hard to put up in the house and whatnot. So yeah, that's that.
That's nice. I like the book in a format. It's like in a box and stuff.
Oh, so you want to see more of this? Here we go.
I mean, because when we look into Kickstarter, one of the things they do is, I mean, they connect with the public, is that not only do they offer their comics, they also offer rewards to go along with it, and so it tempts you into getting these things, particularly if you like this particular artist or writer. And in these cases, like you just showed us a Ditko and you showed us a Mccrae, that these are people that you like, and so you're interested in some of their works, even though they're not the standard superhero fare, this is something that's pretty interesting. And you know, just looking at Kickstarter, there are all kinds of comics, you know, from this regular standard superhero comic to, you know, biographies to documentaries. It's all over the place, and which is good because it allows us to show people to allow their talents and stuff to come out.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Chart of it.
So a lot of time was put into that.
Actual plates, huh?
So a lot of time was put into that.
Yeah, yeah. It's
presentation. Reminds me of an iPhone presentation.
And I haven't opened this in a while. I think I gotta flatten these things again. Because I had other stuff in here, but you know, we got these plates of
nice,
you know,
nice.
And I think I got a small version of the book. It's like there's some graphic stuff.
Yeah. Him and Werewolf, my goodness.
I mean, these guys, they did Creep Show together. They did the Creep Show graphic novel. Him and Stephen King. They did The Stand when they was in the. If anyone remembers the TV Guide when The Stand was out, he did illustrations for The Stand, and you know he did random like stuff for I think The Thing, the movie The Thing. So this, I mean, he was it was even though he kind of left comic books, he kind of stayed, you know, busy. You know, like I mean, he's just a great monster artist. So I'm sad to see him go, but he left his mark. I mean, we went to the Comic-Con. They talked to Bernie Wrightson, and they're saying that basically to get him to finish a miniseries, you had to be in his neighborhood, and that's how he would you know, he could take you go out, you hang out with them and do stuff, and then next you know he would stay engaged in the story. But if you were trying to do mail and phone, he would be like, oh, I got other things to do. So
you gotta go fishing or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's good because you get the artists to, you know what their quirk is, and you gotta bring them out, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing. So, do you want to get to some other stuff, or do you want to go immediately to the Comicsgate stuff?
That was not what I was thinking we were going to talk about, but let's hear. No, proceed. Let me hear more about this Comicsgate stuff.
I don't have any Comicsgate news. I hadn't looked into it in a while. But let's just look at some of the other Kickstarters. I guess I'll show you. You see what I have them right now?
Yeah, I have yeah.
Now Alan Moore has a Kickstarter here. I don't know what it is. It looks like it's going to be a comic book related thing. So let's watch it. But it's well past the goal. The goal is like, look at that. It's like pennies. And look what they got for it already. So that's I mean, the fans are out there. Just it would be interesting to see more people sort of kind of talking about this in the news and rather talking about all the bad stuff that's going on in comic books. But
I mean, you got to look at this. One of the reasons
like a Lovecraft type of thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of these artists were influenced by Lovecraft.
Yeah.
Not me, I'll tell you. Not I, Papaya.
Oh wow, there you go. So yeah, we have that's out, and that's been that when you search for the comics and illustration, that's the first thing that comes up is Alan Moore's comic thing. So that's a good thing. But I want to show you the other thing that I got. So now I can't buy anything for the rest of the year. I got this Nexus, which I was a big fan of. They're doing the coming of Gormando, and it's a deluxe hardcover. and trade paperback, but that's the greatest part. This was funded in 1 minute. It had its struggles in on Dark Horse. It was a critically acclaimed book, but it made its money on Kickstarter, which is very good because they're very much.
How much did it make?
It's not showing me. Saying it's saying was it 67,000? And I think what they were asking for was next to nothing. Like it was in the thousands what they asked for. So they wanted to get they wanted to get to 70,000, but but just because they'd already gotten well past their goal. So they were just saying he would add some extra pages. And because there's a movie about Rude Dude, about the struggles and kind of quirkiness of Steve Rude. And that was very, be such a great accomplished artist and have very strict of what he wants to do and what he doesn't want to do. Finally, for him to really get his due, him and Mike Barron to sort of get this book off the ground is great, in my opinion. And hopefully they'll be doing some more. He has other comic characters that he created that he was planning to do with who was it? With Mike Barron. So maybe they'll be doing more of this stuff. So
I mean, doing something like one book a month makes one book of Kickstarter is something there. I mean, but one thing I'm seeing that from the Kickstarters that you're showing me, these are all established artists that you're following around.
Yep,
not necessarily up and coming.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a reason why?
Well, Nexus didn't have an audience. That's what Kickstarter was. Nexus wasn't able to find an audience in comics. He also wanted to try to do a subscription news strip, which didn't work out. But as a one-volume thing, it seems to work. So ultimately, comic books, the landscape is changing. So I hope that everyone doesn't start running. I think Mark Silvestri's already ran to come over. Let's see if they got it. I think I can go Mark Silvestri and try to see if I can find something. I think he had a. Let's see, does anything pop up for him? Not seeing it. All right. But then there's also Indiegogo because I couldn't miss. There's so much stuff. But here we go. We get to see. Let's see if we can find some other established creators on here.
Let's see. I mean, do they have like a top 10 list of stuff like that? Let's see what people are funding and what they want to go after with their dollars.
Okay, hold on. There's Sam Keith here. He's famous. These are the fresh favorites. I don't know. Only one I know is the calendar. Wow, they say this is their best year
for Indiegogo.
Wow, for a Kickstarter.
Well, I believe it. I mean, people have been home, and so they need to do something. And so it's one of the reasons why you see a lot of numbers going up. From video games, Netflix, Disney Plus. Disney Plus just dropped its numbers, and they said they've increased subscriber growth. Which it kind of makes sense if people want to watch something.
So this is something with Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
From Boom Studios. Wow. And it's like, look at that. That's over 1 million.
So I mean, what you're basically doing, you're depressing people, Petey. Basically, what you're saying is that if you're a small artist, no one's going to find you because everybody's going out for the names.
No, that's not that. I'm not trying to look at this. Oh, I got to see what this is about. You can pre-order stuff. This is good to know because the cover art looks nice.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
That'd be okay. Now, you're taking the Kickstarter thing wrong about it's not about who can be who. It's about, do you hit your mark? And how much further do you get past your mark? That's the interesting part of Kickstarter. Look at this. Elvira got something, a comic book special. Lord.
I saw that.
She got a. How the hell does she look basically the same?
I know, but what about how much is she funding it for?
Dude, they're well past that.
Wow.
It's almost the devil. No, it's not the devil numbers. Too many sixes. But they've made a decent amount of money for that. So I mean, look at that. But Dynamite is sticking with it, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah. When you go to the comic book storage companies, you see them still there. But getting back to the Kickstarter, what about, what are the comic book guys doing now? And the new restructuring, especially since we've had all this stuff with COVID and stuff. Have you noticed any particular trends with current artists from Marvel, DC, or anything going into Kickstarter or Indiegogo or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, who's that guy? What's his name? Scott Snyder, I believe, had one. Didn't we look at one of his?
Yep.
This thing. Oh, yeah. I mean,
but that was months ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's been funded, but that hit his thing. Look at how much it hit his. That's crazy. 200 over 200,000. I mean,
well, that's good. I don't know how the story is, but it's good.
I mean, it looked like he's using his other style, which I kind of like more than his regular style. I mean, I'm just looking, this is the best of the year. So we saw Future. Yeah, this was what they're reporting on. Trap. The other thing is we're not this thing. We're seeing Boom do stuff here. We're seeing Dynamite doing stuff here. You got Sam Keith. So it's we haven't even immediately seen. No, I think some of those. I think your boy Zach. I think he's doing some Indiegogo stuff. He might be over to Indiegogo. I think they made a switch over. I mean, they're jumping back and forth. So,
well, they're trying things out, trying to find their feet, But I'm just concerned with the artists and stuff like that now, or creatives who were involved in comics in Marvel and DC, particularly DC right now, and probably Marvel later. Where where can they go to show, place, and display their stuff, especially if you don't have a big name?
Well, I mean, you want to go through the hard sell for an artist, or right. That's why I'm using the older talents to say, oh, okay, so here we have, an artist you don't know, Graham Nolan. He doesn't have, I don't think, anything current on here, but he's had at least a couple of see some stuff in his. But this is before all this happened. But he was a DC guy. But here, this is Graham Nolan. He's a DC guy. He did a lot of Batman all the time when Batman's back was broken. He was working on that. You saw the Bane Conquest. He worked on that. But right now, what he's making, he did some independent stuff with Joe Frankenstein, which is pretty decent. But he's someone that's not known that much as a comic artist, but he did his Kickstarter, which is Return to Monster Island, and I guess he's doing well with it. So that's one of the things. As an artist, is easy, and I think this one is with this is with Chuck Dixon. This return to this is Expendables Go to Hell.
Mm-hmm. So, good title.
So I think this was Indiegogo also. So you look at that's one of the things as an artist, you can kind of put together something on there and use your social media to say, hey, here's this. It's kind of hard for a writer to do that. That's why Scott Snyder might have been a big enough name to do it by himself, but having Tony Daniels, and that's the thing about having relationships. Scott Snyder has a relationship with, I think, Raphael Albuquerque, and who else? Obviously, I just said Tony Daniels, Greg Capullo. But that's what you want to do as a writer, to have these relationships. I mean, if you're not Alan Moore, Mark Waid, um, was it Grant Morrison, Garth Ennis, Mark Miller, those sort of guys, they're not going to immediately jump at your idea. But if you have these relationship, that's how you can get to the next job. Or if someone, a writer's liking your work, and that's how I think John Byrne officially got to Marvel, because Chris Claremont liked the work and was calling them. And the next thing you know, when there was someone who missed the deadline, and Byrne said he could fill it. So he was working for Marvel for the next, I don't know, like almost 9 years or something like that. So yes, most of the time it's relation. Then you can see with a lot of the artists and the writer tandems, you can go to the next job and then you can bring that person with you. Or they say, hey, I want to work with this guy. So not all is lost as far as the writers, but as artists, it's just sort of putting together a package or something and being consistent. If you're like the way Ethan Van Sciver or Richard Meyer, you can also have that too. I mean, their names in this business. What can I say? They got the money.
Nobody's denying that. Nobody's denying that. But I'm just saying that, just going back to, if you have, what is that, the 1,000 true fans?
Yes.
So that's kind of basically very similar to what you need to basically do here if you want to be successful. You have to have that 1,000 true fans, who's willing to buy whatever you put out. That doesn't mean you have other fans, but these are strictly loyal. It's a very popular theory among bands, what they need to do. So, I mean, I guess the same thing works in Kickstarter. And, there's a lot of projects being funded, but there's also others that are not being funded. They have to.
We can go. Let's do the Indiegogo real quickly before we get off of this. Now, we got Earthworm Jim, which is the old school classic. Lone Star, I know that. Some more Lovecraft stuff. There's Cyberfrog, your favorite. Oh, this is the guy who. Now this is an interesting one. Sorry Raised. I mean, I guess he's a part of the Comics Gate, but he's the guy who used to work with Rob Liefeld. He was one of his assistants. And this actual project, I'm not sure if this could be something that he did in the 90s, and he, is putting together. Yes, I created Black Frag in 1999. That's when we made a draw, All the Things That Made Me Happy. So I'm not sure if this is all new or it's put together of new stuff like that. But look at that amount. That's crazy. So it's like, let's take a look.
Robert, that's when you put that up, it's only one person compared to everything else, bro.
Sorry, what's that?
I say it could be, when you do that, it's compared to one person as opposed to everybody else. This is being funded, but they're not showing you all the stuff that's not being funded.
Well, the thing is, like, that's what I'm more interested in is, yes, I mean, we showed when we did ours that, what was it? The book by Rob Liefeld didn't get funded, and it's like this guy wasn't the name. I'm pretty sure now if he tried to do that, he would get funded. So, but well, look at this.
We'll see. We'll see.
Here's Cave Woman. This is okay. This is a good. This is the book that's always one of those good girl arts, and it's got a wait. We got 40 days, and it's not at this thing. So this thing was in the 90s when everything was on. I guess it was in the 90s, and it's a good girl art book, that sort of stuff. But it's not. It's not setting the world on fire yet. So, what I mean, tell me what you do. You want to show the pit? Like, there's no way we can really show all the pitfalls in this. Just
No, I'm
say,
not trying to show the footballs. All I'm saying is that, you know, there's been more sales going on in some of these marketplaces like Indiegogo and Kickstarter, and that because of that, you know, more artists are putting even more, especially in this time of COVID where people have lost their jobs and they need to do something else, you know, freelance or do art or do a comic. And so these are some of the great areas to go, like Kickstarter, Indiegogo, amongst others. And, you know, that's all I'm saying there. And
so, wait a second. What's that black dragon thing? Oh no, that's not.
I guess that's basically what we wanted to talk about in terms of the Kickstarter,
Yeah, I
right?
want to go through the new stuff that was out and see what was there and what I got.
Okay.
We'll definitely talk about Nexus to say that there was some cool stuff out there. And it'd be interesting to see who winds up on Indiegogo or Kickstarter with all of these nutty layoffs that's going on at DC and possibly Marvel too. And that's, I think, ultimately one of the reasons why Mars is, you know, against talking about those other guys is that you can't sort of, they're kind of saying how, like, almost applauding the death knell of DC and Marvel. And it's just like, no, we can't. I mean, this is in COVID, and a lot of businesses that were doing well are just saying, we're not opening back up. So,
yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, there's some issues with that, but yeah, I definitely can see that. So if there's nothing else to say, PD, we're going to do what?
we're out of here.
Spin a rack.
Out.
That's right. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe.